Hello there! If you found this video, then it sounds like you're ready to start your MatchMaker.fm journey. But we've been there. It's complicated when you're signing up to a new service for the first time. So in today's video, we're going to do just that. We're going to create an account and show you exactly what you can do by using MatchMaker.fm.
Are you looking for a podcast or radio show to appear on? Are you struggling to find a guest for your podcast or radio show? Let me introduce you to MatchMaker.fm. Simply create a profile, narrow your niche, and use the inbuilt messenger to contact potential partners. And the best part, it's free to sign up. So, let's find your match.
So on the screen now, you should be able to see that I have just started my MatchMaker account. And the first thing you're going to see is this screen here that says, let's get started and create a profile. So you've got two choices here. You can either create a guest profile if you are looking to star on other people's podcasts, or you can create a profile, a show profile, if you will. And this is the way that your podcast can find guests to appear on there. And today I'm going to do both, but first let's create a guest profile. So now we're going to need a bit more about ourselves. So we're going to need a profile image. A profile video is available as well if you have MatchMaker Pro. I currently don't. I'm on the free trial. That's absolutely fine if you want to try before you buy. You can always come back and do it later. And then I'm also going to put in a few details about myself. So I've got my name, my last name, age, gender, etc, etc. If we go further down though, here you're going to see a profile headline. Now here's where you want to be completely clear about what you're going to bring to someone's podcast. So say I'm an expert in turtles. I'm going to make it very clear in my headline that I am an expert in turtles. So I'm going to say something like PhD in turtle philosophy. And that rhymed. Awesome. Extra points if it rhymed. So straight away here I've established two things. First, I am an expert in turtle philosophy, whatever that is. And two, I've got a bit of a humorous side to me. So people know exactly what they're going to get when they bring you onto their podcast. If you do a really serious headline and then you come barging in with jokes of all different kinds, that might be a bit strange. So make it clear about your tone as well as what you can actually bring in terms of information. So the headline is only 132 characters long. Obviously I've only done a sentence, but I might make it a bit longer later. But if you want to add even more about you, then the About Me section is where you will post everything from your educational background to your professional background to even just sort of things you enjoy talking about or stuff you've appeared on before. You can really go wild here and sort of treat it almost like you're writing a CV or a pitch document. You really want people to understand who you are and what you're going to bring to the table. Finally, you can also just select interests from a list we've already provided. So I'm obviously a turtle philosophist, so I'm going to maybe look for science, animals, perhaps pets and animals. Now this is important for when podcasts are searching for guests and they are trying to narrow down the thousands of profiles that are already on MatchMaker. So make sure to add exactly the topics you will bring to the podcast so they can find you easily. Now if your interests don't show up, then why not add topics yourself? So obviously if I type in turtles, it's not coming up. So luckily I can go add topic, boom, it's in. So if someone's being as niche as wanting turtle expert, hey, we're in. Next, we've got the appearance fee. Now, this is obviously important for if you want to get paid on your appearances on these podcasts. You might not want to, though. You might want to be doing it as a sort of a hobby, or maybe you're just sort of getting into the game, so you feel like you can't quite offer a fee just yet. So here you're going to either tick yes or no. If you do tick yes, just make sure to include a few details around the fee, how much it would be, if you charge by the hour, all that sort of stuff. Make sure to include that here. I'm going to say no because I don't actually know that much about turtles yet. I'm going to research it after this video. So next up we've got My Places. Now this is where you're going to want to include stuff like maybe you've got a website, you've got a portfolio, you've got a YouTube channel, or just social media links. Make sure to include all of that here so podcasts can go away and they can research you a bit more and get an idea of how you talk, what you might talk about, all those sort of things. Just make sure to include at least, I'd include at least 3, but obviously you can have up to 10. And then we've also got My Guest Appearances. Now, this is a bit different from Places. This is just podcasts. So if you've already appeared on a few podcasts, that's brilliant. Whack them down here, whack a Spotify link, Apple Podcast link. You can actually add up to 5, so make sure to make sure that they're the best 5 you've got. If you went on one podcast and you thought afterwards, I wasn't on great form there, maybe leave that one out and go for the one where you feel a bit happy with it. And finally, we also have a calendar link. So this is a way of essentially attaching whatever calendar service you might already be using, and then figuring out when you're available, when the podcast is available. So you're tying the two things together, essentially. You're not going to overlap in any way or accidentally be doing another podcast when they want you. They'll see exactly when you're busy and when you're not. Okay, so I've now filled all this out. MatchMaker has a much better idea about who I am. So I'm now going to go ahead and click Save Draft. Yep, and I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. Awesome. So we are now officially in the MatchMaker platform. You're going to see this box first if you start a trial, basically just telling you exactly what you get within your trial. So you're going to get up to 5 conversations, sample guest and show browsing, and you can also check out our auto magic matches and recommendations. So lots of cool stuff to discover there. And then just obviously a polite reminder to be nice. Don't say anything or do anything to people you wouldn't like being said to you. Goes without saying. And make sure to check out our community guidelines if you are unsure about what you can do on the platform. Cool, so we're going to go ahead and click continue, and the first thing you're going to see is the home page. Now here you can find recent posts from people you follow or just podcasts that maybe you'd be interested in, and then also you're going to see different guests that have just joined, different shows that have just joined, loads of stuff here, and this will become more filled out the more you use MatchMaker FM. But if we go back to the top, you'll see here it says publish your profile and get booking crazy. Basically the only reason that is because we haven't actually published our profile yet. We've obviously gone through and filled it all out, but there's a few more steps we can do. For instance, we can change our availability at the bottom of the page, so maybe you're only available on weekends because this is a side project and you work full-time in the week. You can click that here, that's absolutely fine. And you can also make your availability known in terms of what format you want to use. So I'm going to be remote. I'm only going to want a video call in. And then that way I can video call overseas. I don't have to be there in person. But I might want to also do some in-person stuff. I can tick both. But for now, I'm going to go remote. You also want to make it clear whether or not you have a microphone. I do. I'm using it right now. So I'm going to click that. And I'm going to say it is a studio quality microphone. Like so, and you can also make it clear if you have a webcam or not. One thing I will say is this is pretty important. I would say make sure you have a webcam because video content is so important in podcasts these days. If you don't have a webcam, that is going to be a massive turn off for a lot of podcasts. So we're going to keep that one ticked. Also, something I forgot to say is that at the top we also have languages spoken. Now, I only speak English, but if you do speak a variety of different languages, that's going to look great. Especially when non-English speaking podcasts are looking for guests and your name comes up, that's going to be a huge green flag. Awesome, so that is now our profile fully filled out, so I'm going to go ahead and click Publish Profile. And voila, here we go. I now have a profile page on MatchMaker FM. So you can see all the stuff I've already put in. All looks really good. Obviously I can fill this out more over time. It's a bit sparse at the moment, and obviously the more podcasts I appear on, the more I'll be able to put on this page. So going back to the home page for a second, we're now going to head over to find a show because I am a guest looking to be on shows, so that's where I need to be. So I'm going to have a look down here, and I can see that there's loads of different podcasts on here. There's thousands, in fact. So I'm probably going to want to narrow it down in terms of something that fits my topics of choice. So we're gonna go on to categories, and I might put in earth sciences or natural sciences. Yeah, that sounds good. And I'm gonna head over to do I want to do a podcast? Do I want to do a radio? Do I want to do YouTube? If you don't really mind, you can just leave that blank and then everything will show up. So a few podcasts have come up for natural science. That's great. The Eco Positive Show. This looks cool. Now on here, you can see loads of information about the podcast. We can see their about section, and there's loads here. They talk about their audience, what they're looking for in a guest. All of this is really important for what I might be looking for. And I can also see at the side when they're available. They're available weekends. That's great for me. They do remote, also really good, and languages spoken English. So that's loads of boxes ticked there. We can also see at the top that they're looking to book guests, ad swaps, content collaborations, and then also some categories here under their podcast. So we've got nature, environment, natural sciences, climate change. These are all things that I could probably talk about when I'm talking about my turtle philosophy. So I'm really happy with this. This looks really good. So I can either favorite it and then maybe come back another time and add it to a list. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I want to go ahead and send them a message. So I'm going to click send message. So I'm going to send them a bit of an opening message. This is kind of like your pitch as to why they should talk to you more. Not necessarily why you should be on their show. You don't need to send them a 1,000-word essay straight away. That can be a bit overwhelming. You can just send them a, hey, how's things? My name's Rowan. I'm a turtle philosopher. Let's talk. And then you can fill them in later on about exactly why you should be on their show. So you'll see here that it says at the top, generally shows receive more messages than guests. So you kind of want to make this first message count as well. Don't be too vague. Don't just say hi, wave emoji. They might not necessarily react to that as much as you hope. So yeah, so basically we want quality from the message, not quantity, but make sure the quality is there in spades. Now we've sent that message, we're going to head to the corner, and here you'll see the messages icon, and we will click Audio Insider, and we can see the message I just sent. If they send a response, obviously we'll see that here too. And if you have the MatchMaker app, you'll get a notification about that. So another tab I've not spoken about yet at the top is posts. The post section is a really great way of just basically shouting about what exactly you're looking for. So if there's a show and they're looking for guests and they're looking for a very particular guest for a very particular episode they have in mind, they might put a post here. And once you've finished your trial, you can do the same thing. If you're looking for a particular show to appear on, then you can write a post and say exactly what you're looking for. And someone might find this on this section and think, hey, I'm going to read more. Oh, that sounds good. I'll send them a message. Finally, the last tab we have is matches. Now, this is really helpful. This kind of cuts out a lot of the work you might have done previously without MatchMaker. So I obviously put all that information at the start about what I want to talk about, and MatchMaker has immediately found some podcasts that I might suit quite well. As I'm already on MatchMaker FM, I'm just going to go ahead and click on my profile in the top right corner, and I'm going to go down to Create Show Profile. So one really cool thing about MatchMaker FM is it actually gives you the option to import your podcast from Apple Podcasts. So if you already have a podcast that's been established for a couple of years now, and you don't really feel like putting in all the information that you've been doing for years, you can just import it. Or you can create a brand new one. For the sake of going through everything though, today I'm going to click create a new show profile. Now this will look very similar to the guest profile setup if you've already been through that. And essentially the first thing you want to do is upload an image. Now this image is different from your guest profile shot. You don't want to post a picture of you going, because that's not what people want when they're looking for a podcast. You want to post your podcast artwork here, so it's instantly recognizable to anyone who might have already heard of it, or people that haven't heard of it, but they get a good idea of what it is from the image itself. You're also going to want to make it very clear about what the actual platform here is, because MatchMaker FM doesn't just have podcasts, but also radio shows and YouTube videos. So yeah, I'm going to say, well, it's a podcast, so I'm just going to go podcast. But if your podcast is actually available on other platforms like radio or YouTube, you can tick those too. But make sure you have a primary one available as well, like podcasts. So when you come to creating your show profile, it is slightly different to creating a guest profile, but not really. It's pretty much the same. So you'll see you need a name, headline, description, audience. So obviously fill this out, make sure it's as extensive as you possibly can, and obviously let them know about key details as well, because this way you're going to be found a lot easier. So I won't go through all that again, as you've kind of already seen it, but I've just filled all that out. I'm going to add more later, so I'm just going to click next, and here we can put in our podcast RSS feed. Now podcast RSS feed is essentially how people discover your podcast, and sometimes it will even take them to their platform of choice. So for instance, my podcast Audio Insider is hosted with podcast.co. Now on podcast.co I can go and click subscribe, and here I will find basically wherever I can listen to it. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. But at the bottom, I'll also see this. And this link here, we're going to copy that. That is our RSS link. Now we're going to go back to MatchMaker, and we're just going to post that in there. Podcast.co is part of our broadcast.co family. So if you want to head over and start a podcast.co account, you can do that by clicking the link in the description. You're also going to want to put in a few more details about your podcast. So we might want to say about how many monthly downloads we have, or you might not want to. You might want to keep that secret. And then as I've ticked that it's also a radio show and also a YouTube show, I'm going to need to put in the links to both of those here too. Now I've done all that. So on the next page, we're going to get to availability. Now here, that's essentially where we put in our calendar link like we did when we created the guest profile, and we're also going to put in our availability. So nothing's changed here. I'll tick those. And then opportunities. This is a new section. We've not seen this yet. So opportunities is kind of like the way of letting MatchMaker know exactly what you want to get from the service. So maybe you just want to book guests, I'll tick that. But maybe you want to do promotional swaps. So make sure to tick these so MatchMaker FM knows exactly how to give you the best bang for your buck, really. And then finally, you're going to want to write exactly what you're looking for in a guest. So, for example, I might want turtle experts. I will drop the turtle thing soon, I promise. But I might also want people with a good sense of humor. This is particularly important because sometimes you might have a guest on and they just don't quite click with your presenting style. So make sure to let them know exactly what they can expect from being on your podcast, because otherwise they might feel uncomfortable, you might feel uncomfortable, and at the end of the day, it might be a waste of time. So I've done all that, and now I'm going to go ahead and click create, and voila. So now we have both a guest profile and a show profile. So now if I want to look for guests, I can do exactly what I did before, but reversed. So I'm going to go ahead and find a guest. So let's go find guest in the top, and I'm going to narrow it down to someone who is sciencey. So let's type in science, and voila, we have loads of guests that we can go ahead, click on, and send them a message. Now, if at any point you want to go ahead and update your profile for either the guest profile or show profile, just go ahead to the top here and click edit. So if your podcast changes drastically, or maybe you just want to add a few more appearances that you want people to know about, you can add that here. And the last thing I want to let you know about is the Amplify blog, which is a completely free service, which essentially just has loads of cool help guides and tips and tricks about creating a podcast, and even just like finding guests and appearing on podcasts. There's even a newsletter as well, so if you want to sign up to that, you can do that just here. So yeah, definitely check out the Amplify blog. We release new blog posts pretty much weekly, and it's a really brilliant service for getting started. But that's pretty much it. If you'd like to know more about the MatchMaker app, which goes alongside this service for completely free, then click this link up here because we've already made a video about that. And like always, if you have any questions about MatchMaker, then don't be afraid to let us know down in the comments. Ask any questions. If you're struggling at all, let us know. We'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. But until next time, thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.